Becoming multidimensional. Why is it we don't typically think of ourselves as multidimensional beings? What I mean by multidimensional is that we exist in more than just this external, physical experience of the third dimension, where rocks are hard and water is wet. Here are a few of the dimensions that may be more familiar to you. As humans, we have a physical, a mental, an emotional, and an etheric or spiritual aspect. In the Eastern energetic traditions, they are known as the four bodies. So in the third dimension, we have our physical experience, our senses, and our left brain, ego mind. Our emotional and spiritual bodies live within the fourth dimension. And this is where we can integrate our dualistic thinking with less structure. The fourth dimension is often called the dream time by Indigenous peoples. And this is the dimension where we can connect with our inner aspects, our ego that works hard to try and navigate the future based on the past, as well as our inner child that represents our early wounds and emotions. These aspects of ourselves are all linked to different dimensional frequencies. When we can expand our viewpoint from a third dimensional frequency to a fifth dimensional perspective, we move from seeing things as win-lose to seeing things as win-win. From right and wrong to what is right for me. From good and bad to the highest good for all, including me. It's a mental shift in thinking from dualistic, polarized terms into unified thinking that includes everyone and everything from a larger perspective. Until we begin to see ourselves from this larger perspective, it'll be hard to align our individual will with the greater will that's a driving force and flow in our lives. As our mind begins to relax around the idea of something greater, supporting us and guiding us, our many dimensions can come into alignment within. We begin to transcend our third dimensional perspective while still successfully living a third dimensional experience. Here's how it might feel or sound or look. In the third dimension, I see the world through the lens of who's right and who's wrong. It's a left brain, mental, logical point of view. Someone has to be right and someone has to be wrong. The Democrats or the Republicans, the rich or the poor, the conservatives or the liberals, the academics or the blue-collar workers, us and them, you and me. We see ourselves as separate from those that don't agree with our version of what is right. We use the golden rule or religious beliefs as the standard that we hold ourselves and others to, even if other dimensions of us are screaming another message that we ignore, avoid, or resist acknowledging at all. Operating from this third dimensional lens means I have to push against others to be fully seen and heard. I have to justify what I think and feel, and that can be exhausting. Often, our authentic voice can become tied to the group mind, which makes it harder to check in and see what's best for ourselves. In the fourth dimension, I see and consciously choose what is and isn't best for me and allow others to do the same for themselves. I'm aware of and recognize my physical, mental, emotional, and etheric bodies and the messages they share with me in synchronistic ways. This is the dimension where I can support my unconscious to become conscious so that I can choose self-love instead of suffering. So I can reframe the past. I can heal and complete and release what is no longer true for me now. Indigenous cultures call this the dream time. And this is where the shamans go to heal and reveal, and where many multi-sensory experiences take us. This is the place of DNA activation and energetic healing. This is the place of the Akashic records. In our waking time, we can connect to this plane through deep, present moment attention and meditation. It's helpful to get guidance to traverse these inner planes until they become familiar and potent places to explore on our own without any lower energy attaching to us along the way. In the fifth dimension, I see all of my choices as choices for the one, and I'm able to consciously travel the inner planes through my crystalline light body to nurture both my cosmic and earth-based relationships with my expanded, activated DNA. I move from a human doing to a human being. I remember my non-physical and interdimensional relationships and connections, as well as all the lessons from the lives I've lived in all of my bodies, in all constellations. All of myself, from all timelines, dimensions, and all layers of my entire being, is fully embodied here in this physical body in the third dimension. Yet, I am connected to and experience the higher perspective about manifestation and traverse the inner and cosmic planes with joy and purpose to support the clearing of the collective as we unify and ascend together. How can you tap into your multidimensionality today?